Hello my friends, welcome to my channel, Abandoned Places Around the World.
Abandoned buses are not just piles of metal forgotten on the outskirts of civilization. Each of these vehicles was once a part of human life. They carried people to school, to work, to loved ones, through cities and villages, on highways and narrow roads. But time is an inexorable judge, and now they stand covered in rust, overgrown with moss and grass, silent witness of bygone eras. Imagine an old school bus in the forest, its paint almost completely faded, branches sticking out of broken windows. Perhaps it once served as a school bus. Children's lauded echoes from its cabin, but now it's shrouded in silence. Perhaps its last journey was in the 1970s, when it broke down on the side of the road and was left unrepaired. Nature slowly but surely took it away. What about a school bus forgotten in a dump in the desert? Its exterior is barely recognizable, but inside there are traces of the past, faded tickets, old coins, inscriptions on the walls. Perhaps this bus once carried workers to a long-closed factory. It was a symbol of hope, a means to better life, and now it's just a piece of rust under the scorching sun, or a bus lost at the edge of a field. Its wheels are partially sunk into the ground, and the seats inside are covered in dust and cobwebs. In its silence, you can almost hear the whisper of the wind, as if it were telling the stories of all the passengers who once sat in these seats. Perhaps this was a tourist bus that took people to the sea or to the mountains, and now it stands as a monument of frozen time. Each bus has its own fate. In India, it can be an abandoned vehicle converted into a home for a poor family. In Japan, bus standing on the edge of the cliff is a reminder of a tragic accident. In Europe, a bus converted into a cafe, but abandoned many years later. What do all these stories have in common? Abandoned buses are symbols of a past that can never be returned. They remind us that everything comes to an end. People drive past them without noticing them. But if you stop and look closely, you can see an entire era reflected in them. Every seat, every scratch, every broken headlight is a trace of a time, a memory. By creating videos about these buses, I open a window into another world, a world of forgotten roads and silent stories. I give voice to those who have long been silent. Perhaps you, my viewers, remember your childhood, trips with friends, your dreams. And this is the power of my story. I show that even a rusty heap of metal has a soul. They are time capsules, preserving the echoes of countless lives and journeys. When you stand in front of one, you are not just looking at relic, you are witnessing a fragile intersection of humanity and time, a story waiting to be rediscovered and shared. And so, the next time you see an abandoned bus, take a moment to imagine the lives it once touched. Every crack in this window and the dent in its frame tells a story of resilience, movement and connection. Perhaps it was more just than transportation. Perhaps it was the stage of countless small but meaningful human dramas, now lost in the whispers of time. And now guys, a short story from the real life. Deep in the wood, far from any road or trail, there sits an old rusty bus. Its windows are shattered and its paint has faded into peeling husk. Wines creep through its broken windows, wrapping around the seats. Local call in the ghost bus, and few dare to venture near it after sundown. The legend begins decades ago, with a route that disappeared one stormy night. It was supposed to be a routine trip carrying passengers through a rural area. The driver, George, was used to treacherous roads, but that night was different. The rain fell in heavy sheets and the forest felt darker. The passengers, weary walkers, a young couple and old woman clutching a suitcase, were uneasy. The bus never reached its destination. When search parties went out, they found no trace. The story faded into a mystery of lives lost in the wild. Years later, hikers found a bus deeper in the forest. Inside, the reeked of mildew and rust. The seats were torn, and the floor was covered in debris. Old woman's suitcase remained sitting nearly on the seat, unopened. Inside were yellow photographs of the people with no apparent connection. One hiker recognized a face from a missing persons poster. They fled, vowing never to return. Since then, strange stories have emerged. Campers report whispers in the wind and faint lights in the woods. Others claim to see shadowy figures moving among the trees. One man who entered the bus at night heard faint shuffling. Turning, he saw the passengers, pale, hollow-eyed, staring with sorrow and accusation. Panicked, he fled, leaving his flashlight behind. When he returned for it, he found a photograph on the driver's seat. It showed him standing in the bus doorway, shadowy figures behind him. The ghost bus remains a haunting reminder of unexplained. Some say it's cursed, others believe it's a gateway to another realm. Whatever the truth, the bus waits, its rusted frame holding secrets no one can fully understand. On a stormy night, if you listen closely, you might hear it calling for its next passengers.